And I'm curious, is because I feel like an asset manager's role may look different from a property to property, or maybe in your case, it's at a portfolio level. So do you feel that in some cases you're more closely involved than others, depending on maybe how the capital was raised? I guess what are some of those differences that you see on a, or is it pretty much flatline, like the same across the board?
No, it's definitely not the same. Heavier lifting deals that need more capital, that are riskier, that are not stable, are way more intensive. We're talking more frequently with the managers. We're looking at the financials more frequently. We want to be as proactive as we can because they are more risky. Deals that are more stable or have already spent all their budgeted capital, or don't just have a lot going on and they're just kind of maintaining ongoing operations, spend significantly less time, because the managers can handle most of the day-to-day stuff, which is what's really going on. We'll continually look at financials just to make sure things are on track. We'll continually have calls with our managers, just less frequently. We'll continue to do rent surveys for the area to make sure we're in line with the rest of the market. But a lot of that stuff is also being done by the property management company. A lot of the stuff we do, and I should have mentioned this as an asset manager, is just, checking a lot, some of the work that the property manager is doing. So even though they do a rent survey, trust but verify, right? They did a variance report, trust but verify, make sure that what they're saying is actually true, make sure the
Yeah.
rent surveys are the same, make sure you guys are on the same page with what's going on, and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely property to property, the amount of work and attention a property gets, um, definitely changes over time. And generally, when you take over, it's much higher. And as things become more stable, as you get a better handle on the property, as you spend more of that capital, it tapers off and, less attention is required.
Okay, so I'm gonna get to that in a second, but you dropped so many good gems that I want to just circle back for a second before we talk about the exit
Sure.
strategy, because I think we don't talk about that enough.
Hmm.
Going back though, you mentioned that some syndicators are actually essentially end up being an asset manager. In a case in a company like yours where you guys are raising capital, and again, I understand that it seems like there might be some crossover in roles, but if someone's a GP general partner or there's multiple GPs, what is that conversation with that the syndicator or the GP and the asset manager look like? Are you kind of reporting to them, reporting with them? Just because it seems that you're the one who's closely in touch, and I would feel like maybe a syndicator may want to be just as close. So are you an extension to them? Or are you kind of the middleman? Or you what was that? What would that relationship look like if you're raising capital?
So here's the problem, and I hope I didn't stress that there's a difference between the two too much. If somebody's saying syndicator, they almost definitely asset manage as well. I would be, like I said, I know hundreds of syndicators. I know one off the top of my head that doesn't asset manage his own deals. And he has it look like he does, but he really doesn't. So, he hired somebody, it looks like they work for them, but they're really a consultant. So, and definitely won't say who, but that's besides the point. So most syndicators you see do also asset manage. So it's very rare, like I said, that they don't. However, the word to syndicate also says you raise money. So there's plenty of people who raise money and then come onto the GP side, but they don't really asset manage. So there's tons of quote
Oh,
unquote
okay.
equity
Yeah.
raisers,
Yeah.
but they're not, they're never going to position themselves the same way that we do. They tell people they, raise money for other people's deals, and, they invest their own money and things like that, which, if you think that sounds amazing, there's a ton and ton and ton of laws and legality, more so than being a syndicator or a sponsor or a private equity fund. You have to go talk to an SEC attorney. Don't just think you can just raise money for a deal and get compensated for it. You will definitely break laws without an attorney, and you'll be in the shitter if something goes wrong. So I'm just throwing that
Absolutely.
out there, and it's getting more and more restrictive as well.
Yeah, because
So
everybody and their mother wants to raise capital,
exactly.
right?
So I just wanted to throw that out there as a quick
Yeah.
disclaimer. It's not like you can just go, to your family party, raise, $500,000 and, go be in someone's deal. So be very careful if that's the route you want to go. Do the proper due diligence, treat it like a real business, get the proper professionals, do it right. So there is, that's where you have to really understand if you are going to passively invest, like with someone like us, you need to understand what it is we do. It's not just, hey, I like Chris, so I'm going to invest with him. You better understand what the hell we're doing and what our expectations are, and what the heck we plan on doing and what role we take, because everybody's a little different, right? We don't have property management in-house. If that was something that was important to you, you should not invest with us. If it's not as important and, us and the deal are more important, that's great. That's how all of our investors feel. If you're looking for somebody to be a middleman between you and a deal, I would say go talk to somebody that does raise equity, because they can be another stopgap and another pair of eyes on a deal that someone is raising money for. Whether they do a good job or not is up to your discretion, but that may be something that's important to you. So you just got to understand everybody in the space, especially in today's world with social media, the internet, how easy it is to tell somebody you are doing something and make it look like you are actually doing something. It's very tough sometimes to verify. So just do some good due diligence, take your time, don't step into something too early. But yeah, there's a lot of, overlapping and terminology changes. So make sure, again, do the terminology research, make sure you understand, a syndicator can also be called a sponsor, can also be called a general partner, can also be called an operator, like all these terms are somewhat interchangeable. So just make sure you understand, and you'll pick it up over time. Don't sweat it.
Got it. So would you say, because I think you did a good job of summarizing of really how many hands an asset manager has him or her hands in when it comes to managing the asset. But would you say you're more on the, I guess, on the back end of things and not so much front end with the client? So if I'm investing in with your company,
Mhm.
I'm not really going to see Chris that much, but I know that Chris is going to be the guy that's making things happen. Is that true, or am I incorrect for thinking that?
So if we were a bigger company, it would be more true. I don't know if I said at the beginning, my title
Hmm.
is asset manager, but
Hmm.
I do basically, almost everything within the company. So, asset management acquisitions is just what takes up the bulk of any, syndicator's time, right?
Yeah.
Deal flow is the lifeblood. The next thing is equity raising. I do it to a certain degree, mostly because I just help out a lot with the marketing side for the company. So I also interact a lot with, investors, potential investors through social media. I interact with people a lot. So obviously, meet investors through there as well. So I do. However, if we were a 30-person company and I was an asset manager, no, you would not speak to the asset manager. You would probably speak to, someone in the investor relations department or in the, I don't know what you call fundraising,
Yeah.
department or whatever. But because, we're 5 people, we're 6 people, you can talk to anybody if you really want to. But
I think that's so important, by the way, because whether you're listening to this and you're working or you're trying to start something, I think there's a lot that goes with being in a company that's I don't want to say it's smaller, but in a place where you can wear multiple hats because you get
it's definitely small.
exposed to much. Yeah, but I think there's big, small. It's all relative. I think
Of course.
my whole point is if you can get exposed to a lot of different roles, it all goes back to kind of you just again being a sponge and learning so
Mhm.
much along the way rather than being siloed. And I'm speaking from experience because I've been in on both
Mhm.
ends in a corporate world where it's kind of like you're in a bigger company and you just do this one thing,
Mhm.
where in your smaller company you're now wearing all these multiple hats and you understand things, how things operate a lot more. So
No, I think that's definitely one of the things that attracted me to it, because, I know a ton of people that work in bigger companies or even medium-sized companies, and you get put into a role and that's what you do. And that's great, right? Because as great as it sounds that I do a little bit of everything too, you know, sometimes things can fall through the cracks as well. And we have to make sure between our team that we over communicate, within equity raising, within asset management. Okay, who is handling this specific thing? That's why we have different tools and resources that we use to, assign tasks, make sure people are staying on top of things. But, if I was just doing asset management, if something fell through the cracks of asset management, everyone could look at me and be like, Chris, what the hell are you doing? But because everyone's a little bit fluid, there's some gray areas. So, it's not just pros, there are cons as well, just like anything. But yeah, that's why I wanted to work for a small company. I'm very much like you. I like to taste. I like to get out there and experience different things. And even on my own. So even, now that we're doing multifamily, I've looked into a ton of other things. So Toro as a company started getting into the mobile home space.
Nice.
I've looked at doing land flipping. We looked at doing Airbnb rentals. We're talking right now about, do we start exploring hotel and retail, because those have gotten smoked. We've talked also about looking at potentially some small business investing, because there's going to be a lot of shops being closed down and bars and, laundry, small
Absolutely.
businesses. Is there opportunity there for us to, this only happens every several years on history, you know, even if we're not the best set up for it, do we have the resources to go out and start small in those areas and add it as another, arm of our company? So I'm always, I'm always tasting, I'm always trying to learn, like I said earlier, and that was very important to me. How, like I said, but also, cons too, right? Small businesses are definitely more risky and less stable, greater chance of failure. So, everybody's got to realize what's best for them.
Absolutely.
If you are somebody that wants experience, but you want a steady W-2 income check and it's going to be there pretty reliably, go work for a mid-size, investment company that works with institutional partners. We don't do that. Go work as an asset manager, work your way up, things like that. Like I tend to get paid pretty erratically, and sizable checks. So I need to be, disciplined to not go out and, spend, tens of thousands of dollars just because it came in,
Yeah.
when we close deals and stuff like that. So, that's not for everybody. A lot of people cannot budget. They're not very good with that. They get money, they get their 2-week paycheck and they blow it in the first week. So,
Yeah.
and that's fine if that's you. But that's just not who I am. So I know I can deal with some of the potential cons, and I think the pros far outweigh it. So, yeah, for me, it's great. It was phenomenal. But it was also a slow process. I got paid next to nothing for a year and a half. So,
Yeah.
it's all about what you're looking for, what you're willing to do, and, all that good stuff.